Hi guys, welcome back. I'm Ginny and this is the big sew along. And as you can see, I have my river tunic still right here, still not finished. She got shoved to the back burner because while I was waiting for your responses to my questions about her, I changed the thread in my sewing machines and started working on another project. And now I just want to finish that before I change my thread again. Anyways, so I haven't gotten anywhere with this yet, but I did have a number of comments and suggestions from you guys. I appreciate all of those. I still have not decided exactly what I'm going to do, but I suspect it will be one single pleat down the front. We'll see. Hopefully I'll have that done for you by next week. I did have a couple of other comments last week that I wanted to share with you guys. Let's see. Kuso C. I apologize if I mispronounce that. Suggested, or she says, it looks like you might need to make a tight, perhaps lightly padded canvas cover for your mannequin. Yes. Why didn't I think of that? Of course I do. Yes. I've done it before, just not for this mannequin. So this one is you can tell, it's a vintage one that a friend of mine gave me a couple of years ago. I happen to like it because it expands to my size better than the more modern one that I had. But yes, I definitely need to cover it with a padded cover. Okay. Next up, Christina commented a couple of things. Christina has a couple of style questions. Number one, why do you make your pants so short? And number two, I love how you're wearing your scarf. Can you show us how you tie it? Yes, of course. Let's go to pants first. I don't know why I make my pants so short. To be honest with you guys, until I got that comment, I was like, oh yeah, all my pants are short. I haven't always worn just short pants, but it's been a pretty long time. I will say, I think part of it is a proportion thing. I like to wear longer, tunic-y type tops, and I feel like if I wear long pants with long tops, then I look overwhelmed, or maybe I just feel overwhelmed. The other thing is, because I'm shorter, so I feel like all of that volume might be too much for me, or just, like I said, it just feels like too much for me. The other thing is, I'm a shoe fanatic like every other woman I know, and so I do think that part of it is just that I like to show off my shoes. Anyways, aside from that, I have no idea. I'm working on a pair of plinka pants right now that I actually lengthened. They might even be full length, which would be huge. As for my scarf, I'm actually wearing one today so I can show you. I tie it the exact same way all the time. It is the only way I really tie a scarf. I have a big square that I fold in half so that it's a triangle, roughly. I put the center of the triangle in front and wrap it around to the back, and then pull the ends around and just tie it in a knot, not too tight obviously. And then I like to ease it up a little bit and make sure you get your hair, or in your earrings in my case, out of it, and that is it. That's how I tie my scarf. Thanks for asking. Alright, so I think that's it from the comments. We'll move on to our topics for today. The first thing I want to talk to you guys about is I don't know if you remember back in the fall, like I guess it's still fall, maybe September or October, I got this book called Embody, which is a capsule collection to knit and sew by Jacqueline Cieslak, and again I apologize if I butchered that name. I showed you pictures of the line drawings in here when I originally showed it to you, so I'm just gonna hold it up and show you again if I can find one. Yeah, so that is what the line drawings look like. I don't know if you're even going to be able to see that. Anyways, I decided to give this a go. I made this, sorry, it's this one right here, this sleeveless sort of tank dress. For me it's a slip, which is what I'm wearing today. And I'm going to show you a couple of pictures of those right here. Okay, so This dress has neck facings, arm facings, bust darts, patch pockets, and it's made for French seams. So I started with the tank because it's so simple and doesn't take very much time, so I thought that was the way to go. I have a couple of things to say about this. So it's French seams. It's made for French seams. Obviously, you don't have to do French seams. It's not going to make any difference. And this was really a wearable muslin for me, so I did not bother with that. I used this really horrendous acetate that I bought. It's like acetate lining fabric that I got from Woolfork a long time ago. And I don't know if you guys remember, I did talk about it once before. I said I hated working with it because it burns up like that. So I was really careful. I only used a cool iron, and yeah, I was fine. That's the only thing about it. It's not hard to sew or anything. It's just that it burns up to a crisp, and it doesn't melt like polyester or nylon would. What it does, well, I guess it kind of does, but what it does is it like shrinks up really fast, like a shrinky-ding shrinks up, and then when you pick it up, it breaks like a potato chip. Crazy. So not my favorite fabric. However, I bought this when I got the last piece that I made, and it's been sitting in my stash now for 2 years, so I just decided to use it for this wearable muslin. It turned out really well, so I'll get a lot of use out of this. This stuff is good in the sense that you can throw it in the washer or in the dryer. It gets kind of cool wrinkles in it. It doesn't breathe well because it's acetate, so I wouldn't be wearing this in the summertime. However, it's fine for right now. Okay, anyways, so that's enough about that. What did I have to say about this pattern? So, for one thing, I'm going to show you a picture right here. This is a picture of the front pattern buttoned up to the back pattern at the shoulder. So you can see I put a big F on the front and a B on the back. And you can see I put a big circle there where they are not meeting. And that is at the cut edge. So here, the next picture, is when I folded under the seam allowances. You can see that this thing is off by like, I mean, the straps just don't match up. Now, I sound really annoyed when I say that, because I was a little frustrated. However, I do want to point out that you can see from this picture, this is a multiple size pattern, and as many of you who have used these kinds that are like printed like on an AO printer or whatever, it's sometimes hard to tell what line is what, so there is a possibility that I just cut this inaccurately. However, I did go back and look, and I think I got it right, but just be aware that the shoulder straps on mine did not match. Not really a huge deal. I just sewed them together and then trimmed off the excess, and it was totally fine. The other thing is that this has a armhole facing and a neck facing, and I cut both of those and I got them ready to go. The armhole facings fit perfectly fine. The neck hole facing, I'm going to show you a picture of it here. I hope you can see. I put my paper pattern face down so you wouldn't get confused by all the lines on it. The facing I outlined in green Sharpie so you can see it is not ever gonna fit that neckline. So the neck facing does not fit. I did cut it out of fabric. It did not fit. The other thing is, you'll notice that if you have a neck facing that's that wide and then an armhole facing that's also that wide, they're gonna overlap right there at the shoulder, like right here, and that's gonna get bulky. So if you want a facing for this, use the armhole facing that she has, draft your own neckline facing and make it a one piece, like an armhole neckhole facing in one, so that you can avoid all that bulk up here. For me, I didn't bother with any of that. Once I realized that the neckline facing wasn't going to work, I just replaced it with bias binding on the neck and on the armholes. Now, so people don't think I'm just a complete jerk and like hate this dress. I actually don't hate this dress. I really like it. I love the shape of it. I'm going to show you a couple pictures here. I will say this is really meant to be a dress and a long dress, so I shortened mine a good 6 inches. And again, I'm only 5'3", so you might not need to shorten it that much, but just so you know. Okay, so here's a picture of me in the dress. I actually really love this. I will make it again. I also wanted to point out, you'll see it in one of these pictures here. This has a really good armhole. I mean, you can see my camisole a little bit under here right now, but you can see it's not pinching me or grabbing me, and it's also not really big and baggy. So I really like the size of the armhole and the shape. And also, I'll show you another picture here, but I think that this neckline is really pretty. You can see it in that picture better. I do think that this neckline is really pretty. Now, I mean, I'm going to wear this mostly as a slip. Even if I make it again, it'll probably more than likely be a slip. But, so people aren't really going to see that much, but I do think it's really pretty, and I like that. The other thing is, this dress has bust darts, and which is good. I mean, for a dress like this, I don't really need bust darts. I'm like a 36C bust. I don't really need bust darts or something like this, especially it's got an uneven hem, so if it pulls up a little, no one's ever gonna know. However, if you're bustier, you are gonna want bust darts, and so it's good to have. So it's nice that she has these in here. I will show you, I did this really stupid thing. I always have to lower bust darts on like big 4 patterns especially. I always have to lower the bust darts an inch. So I held this pattern up to me just in front of the mirror to take a quick look, and I was like, oh yeah, I'm gonna need to lower that bust dart. Like I said, wearable muslin, not like terribly worried about it, so I went ahead and lowered the dart by 1 inch, and then I'm gonna show you a picture here. You guys, the bust dart is like literally like 2 inches below my bust. So if you're used to like lowering, again, it's not gonna matter. I'm gonna have something over this all the time. If you're used to lowering your bust darts, you probably are not gonna need to unless you normally lower them more than an inch. If you usually raise your bust darts, I mean, yeah, is that right? You may need to raise your bust darts if you don't usually lower them. Anyways, it's kind of silly because I have this big like dart like into my rib cage, but anyways, I also just gave this dress a really skinny narrow hem. I didn't even look at the directions for this, so I can't tell you how they were, and I can't tell you how they told you to hem it. It's got a curved hem. It comes to a little point on both ends, so you really are going to have to either bind the hem, do a tiny rolled hem, or make a facing for the hem. And there's no facing included in the pattern, so I assume that that's not how she wants you to, that's not how she instructs you to. Okay, and now I'm getting chilly, so I'm going to put my scarf back on. It's snowing outside. I know, it's not a big shock. It's just like, it wasn't snowing earlier. It looked a little gray and weird, and now of course the front lawn is just covered with snow. Okay, so I think that is all I have to say. This dress is called the Woolfork, and it is in the Embody collection. And it comes with a QR code, so you can download your pattern and print it at home, or have it sent out and printed somewhere else. Okay, the last thing I want to talk about is last week we talked about winterizing some pants and making them in some heavier fabrics. I forgot to say that I have heard many people say they have made Tina Gibbons pants, especially the Oprah and the Norma Jean, in twill or lightweight denim with success. I have never done that, but I know you can because I've seen pictures of them and I've had other people tell me that they've done it. Now, last week I showed you these pants here, these plinkas that are narrowed, and I did start a pair for this week to show you, but I've just not had enough time to get my sewing done. So I'm going to show you how I narrowed the pant leg, and then next week I'll just show you what the pants look like. So this is my original plinka pant pattern. The only alterations I've done so far is I've cut the small everywhere except for the center here where I cut the medium, or I don't know, I might be cutting, let's see. Sorry, I cut the extra small for everything except for the center here where I cut the small. And then I curved it just to be back here at the extra small. The other thing I did is this blanket pant is supposed to end right way up here because you have a 4-inch ruffle that goes on the end. So for this, I just added, I think I added 1, 2, 3, 4. I added 5 inches. The last inch is going to be my hem. So to do the narrowing part, you will see on the plinka pattern, there is this line right here that says pleats. I use my hip curve for that, for this, which looks like this. It's got a heavier curve here and more straight up here. And I place it like this. So I don't know if you can see. This is the shortest length of the original plinka before I've added anything. So I match my curve up here with that shortest length and this pleat. And then this curve goes straight out to the crotch point. And I just draw a curve exactly like that. Now, if you don't have, I like it to have a little curve here. If you don't have a hip curve, you can use a straight ruler like this. And then just use your French curve or whatever curvy tool you have to give yourself a little bit less in here. And you'll just have to move it around a little bit. Then, down here at the bottom, I'm going to fold my 1-inch hem under. And from this point to the bottom, to the fold of my paper, is just a straight line. So actually I didn't really need to fold that hem under, but that's okay. So just like that. If that looks too sharp to you there, you can just curve it out a little bit, but it would be fine. Now I'm just going to cut that off. And then I'm going to sew this together. I'm going to unfold this. I'm going to go ahead and cut this out of my fabric, and I'm just going to sew it together like I would sew a regular plinka pant. Okay, so that's how I narrow the leg of my plinkas if I want it to be more narrow. You can also easily put a casing at the bottom and use elastic in it, or a draw cord. You can also put darts in the bottom. I've done all of those things at one time or another. The other thing is, often when you're using a heavier fabric, you want to reduce some of the bulk at the waist. It's not so much that it matters what it looks like, because most of these pants are going to be under something anyways, but it's really uncomfortable to have lots of thick fabric, especially with an elastic waist, like bunched up around your waist. So I'm going to show you really quickly here a couple of tips for how I reduce the bulk in a heavier weight pair of pants if I need to. Okay, one quick and easy way to eliminate some bulk at your waistband, if you're making these in a heavier fabric, is to do this. This is the top of our plinka pant. This line is the top of the pants. This up here is the facing. This right here is the actual waistband, and this right here is where the actual waistband would end. So I'm going to say, give myself a 1/2 inch seam allowance at this waistband, and I would cut this off right here. So that's a 1/2 inch past the top of my waistband. And that eliminates our self-facing. Now, you need to add a new facing, and you would do it in a lighter weight fabric. So you would take this distance from here, from the bottom of your waistband to the top here, which is 1.5 inches in this case, or it should be. And you would cut your new facing out of a lighter weight fabric 1.5 inches wide by the distance around your waist. Now you may actually want to make it a teeny bit wider than this if you want to fold the bottom edge under. I usually just serge mine and sew it down. So I would make mine 1.5 inches wide by the distance around my waistband. The other thing that you can do that's a little bit trickier but not difficult is to put a little dart in here. And the way I do that is not how you would do it with a traditional like tailored pant or something, but it's the way I do it with all of these. And that is to essentially fold this in half like that and just make a crease right in the center. And you're not going to be able to see that, so I'm going to actually draw it in with my Sharpie here. And this pant actually has a pocket. You can see the pocket placement right here. So if you're going to put your pocket in, you want to be sure you don't make your dart longer than that line. For me, I am going to make mine, I am going to make my dart 5 inches from the top. And that's right on that center fold line that I just made. So like that. Now remember that this part right here is your seam allowance. This needs to remain straight one way or another. So the way I would do this is I would probably do a 1-inch dart. So I'm going to place the center of my dart line on the center of my ruler. I'm going to make a 1-inch mark here and here. This part from this bottom of the waistband up to the end of the seam allowance, we want to be even. So we're just going to draw a straight line like that and a straight line like that. And then these two sides will get angled in like this and then angled in like this. So when you sew your dart, you would sew it straight along this line and then angle it into here. Now what that really does is it removes, let's see, in this case it removes 1 inch for each dart you use. So if you use 2 in the front and 2 in the back, that removes 4 inches of fabric from your waistband, which really reduces bulk. Now the only thing is, regardless of how many darts you use, you're going to want to make sure that however much you remove from your waistband, it's still wide enough to go over your hips. So the other thing I would normally do if I'm doing a dart, and I hope this is going to make sense, I would, this is our seam line where we're going to fold our waistband over and sew it down. I would remove this fabric like that. Now when you open this back up, it'll still be sewn shut there, and then your dart will be down here, but that also will just reduce more bulk in your waistband. This would be covered up by your facing when you put it back on. It would get folded over, and then this cut that you just made would be encased in your facing. I hope that makes sense. Alright guys, I hope that that made sense. If you have any questions about that, just leave them below, and I will be happy to actually video myself doing those alterations on the pants themselves if that's helpful for you guys. And I think that's it for this week, you guys. I have just been really knitting up a storm trying to get a last couple of Christmas presents finished, so I've had almost no time to do any sewing. But I expect to get this one done, my river tunic done for next week, and hopefully also the flannel plinka pants that have been narrowed. We'll see. But they're long pants. Alright guys, so until next week, thanks so much for stopping by. I really do appreciate all your time, and I will see you soon. Happy sewing.